Orca calendar. To Glanville, are we ready to go? I take that as a yes. Okay. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and I'm addressing the individuals who are appearing via Zoom, as well as folks who are in the courtroom. This is our Orca criminal calendar for misdemeanor cases. A misdemeanor case is a lower level offense in which, if the prosecution does take the case to trial and the charges are proven beyond a reasonable doubt, the individual could be facing a penalty of up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Today, this is not a trial calendar. Today, this is a calendar to get a status of cases, to find out if the individuals are properly represented by counsel, unless they have waived their right to counsel. Also to determine how the cases would like to move forward. If you are a defendant, whether you're appearing via Zoom or whether you are in the courtroom, please remember that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. If you make any comments in open court or in Zoom court about the underlying facts or circumstances or the defenses in your case, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case all the way up to trial. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one and you financially qualify for the services of the Public Defender's Office, then you can be appointed counsel. And that attorney could be either from the Public Defender's Office or from our conflict defense list. Most of these cases have been around for the last couple of years. So I'm assuming, unless you tell me differently, that you have already spoken to an attorney, you've already applied with the Public Defender's Office, or that you have thought about this deeply and for a very long time and decided to represent yourself. If you choose to represent yourself, that is to waive your right to counsel, then you are responsible for any legal decision you make and how that impacts your personal situation. Any responsibility that you take on will be based upon your research and your knowledge of the law and how it may affect your personal situation, including your job, any other open cases you may have, as well as your residency if it's applicable. All right, this is a show cause calendar. We have Mr. Frank Gaither, who is a public defense attorney on Zoom. He's seated right there. We have also public defense attorney, Mr. Mike Roffoff, seated right here at the table. So if you have not applied for the Public Defender's Office, you don't remember if you've done so, or if you wish to apply for the Public Defender's Office, we have counsel who are available to take your applications, okay? Before I move forward, position number 1, Shaquille Adams. Ms. Riley, are you covering that case?
Yes, Your Honor, I have positions 1 through 13.
Okay. Ms. Riley, I'm going to reset Shaquille Adams. He is present in the courtroom. This was for a show cause on the Orca B show cause calendar. He's also scheduled on the Plea Raymond calendar with Judge Dixon.
Your Honor, it's my understanding.
No, those ones. Disregard what I just said.
Okay.
So anyways, his attorney is Manal Shahami. She's filed a notice of conflict. I'm going to reset this case to April 6th at 9 a.m. for the final plea calendar. And Mr. Shaquille Adams is still in the courtroom. Mr. Adams, please stand up. So, and if you could walk all the way around to the, yeah, right here. Come to the podium right here. Yeah. Does he have a, do you have a pen and paper?
I do not. Yeah.
I want him to notate any offer that the state may have so he may communicate that to his counsel. So as soon as we give you this information, the first thing you're going to write down is the name of the prosecuting attorney. Okay. Do they need a pen? Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Prosecutor is Denise Riley, R-I-L-E-Y. And Mr. Adams is accused of DUI under the influence of alcohol, less safe. What is the possible plea offer from the state?
It is a 12 months to serve 24 hours, credit for time served, 24 hours. The balance on probation, a $400 fine, 40 hours of community service, alcohol and drug evaluation and any treatment that is recommended, risk reduction, and to attend one victim impact panel.
All right. Did you get that? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. The question is, what is the conviction in that prosecution? Is
What
that,
is what?
so I understood the stipulations, the 40 hours community service and so forth. Is that a conviction of a DUI or I didn't hear?
Yes.
that? Okay.
Right? So this is just a plea offer. Communicate that with your attorney.
Mhm.
If you decide to plead guilty to this offense, the recommendation from the prosecutor, the recommended sentence from the prosecutor is 12 months probation. You'll be given credit for 1 day that you served at the jail, so you have no additional jail time. Hopefully you're writing this down as I'm speaking or checking your
Yes, ma'am.
writing.
Yes, ma'am.
You'll be on probation. While you're on probation, you pay a $400 fine. You complete 40 hours of voluntary community service with any nonprofit agency. You complete one alcohol and drug evaluation and submit yourself to any treatment that's required. You attend and complete one risk reduction course and attend one victim impact panel to be scheduled by your probation officer. You are not being convicted today. This is the recommended sentence if you decide to enter a plea. So communicate that with your attorney and we will see you with your counsel on April 6th at 9 a.m. in this courtroom.
Thank you, Judge.
You write down that date?
April 6th, 9 a.m.
Reset. April 6th, 9 a.m. Courtroom G33.
Thank you.
Mr.
again.
Adams, y'all have a good day. Drive safely. Mr. Crail Lewis, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Let me leap forward to your case and your client's name again, please.
Kelsey Royalston.
That's an 8. How do you spell the last name?
Royals.
Well,
Yes.
Position number 19, Your Honor. Good morning.
thank you. Good morning,
morning.
Mr. Fiea. Morning. All right. Kelsey Shamika Royalston, is she present on Zoom?
I do not see her present on Zoom, Judge, and nor have I had any contact with her. However, it has been a while. Your Honor, I have received an amended offer from the prosecutor. She and I negotiated on the 8th, and she sent me an amended offer on the 9th to resolve 3 matters, if I'm understanding her notes correctly, for my client. And I'm only appointed to 1. And so I'm going to ask the court to do 2 things, appoint me to the other 2 cases of hers, for 1. And then number 2, if it will grant me the courtesy of an April 6th continuance date to communicate with Ms. Royalston.
Well, the problem is she needs to appear for me to move forward to request.
I agree, Judge.
All right, so let me see you. Ms. Royalston? All right. I did say that it's raining a little badly outside, so she may be on her way. So I'm going to wait till the end of this calendar
Yes.
to decide any decisions for folks who. I've got a okay, she doesn't have an FTA on any priors.
Yes, ma'am. And if you recall, I've been ill myself, so there could be a glitch.
Yeah, she updated her address. So she's got 3 phone numbers. And we'd like the opportunity to try to contact her at any of those numbers to let her know that she needs to appear Mr. Lewis, do you have someone assisting you?
Yes, I have Maria. She's sitting right next to me, ready to write.
Okay, Maria, first number 678-913-6260. Second number 470-423-9996. Third number 404-671-0103. The last number is a mobile number.
0103 was the last 4 digits of the last number.
404-671-0103.
Got it.
All right, so Mr. Lewis, if you'd like to hold and try to reach any of those numbers and then give her the Zoom link, I'll be glad to consider your 2 requests.
Thank you, Your Honor. Drop
Okay.
you.
Yep, you'll come back, right? Don't lose me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you. Any other private counsel on the Zoom, please? All right. Mr. Gaither, who are your clients?
Good morning, Judge. I actually don't have any clients on the calendar, but
Okay.
I would make an announcement. If position 2, Stacy Adams, or position 3, Quantres, Benton are in court, I do have files for them and I can walk down. So funny story, Judge, I was on my way to court, realized that Mr. Haddad had gave me these 2 files just in case they appeared. So I swung back by the office to get them and then realized I wouldn't have enough time to walk back to court. So I'm on Zoom. So
That's perfectly fine, sir.
but if
Yeah.
they're there, I can walk right on down and take care of them.
Okay. Stacy Adams is present,
Okay.
right? And Quantres Benton? Quantres Benton? Well, you might want to bring both files in case Benton walks in.
Will do. So if you give me a few minutes, Judge, I'll be there in a few moments.
You can handle it if you just got the one client.
Mr. Ruffoff is willing to handle Stacy Adams if you want.
Okay. Okay, no problem. And let Miss and Mr. Roffoff, I'll give you Miss Adams' file when you come back to the office.
All right, this case is Stacy Adams is reset here for a show cause. Looks like we've got quite a few in which she's either not appeared, been detained, or something to that effect. So Mr. Roffoff is going to talk to Stacy Adams. Miss Riley, what's the plea offer for Miss Adams, simple battery and criminal trespass?
It is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served, 60 days, the balance suspended. The case would close today.
All right. Okay, Mr. Adams, right? Now you're going to talk to Mr. Roffoff and consider this plea offer. Otherwise, we're going to schedule the case for trial. All right. So, Mr. Gaither, then we're good. We're just waiting on Benton now. And like I said, with the rain, I'm just going to wait till the end of the calendar to see who shows up.
Okay, no problem. I'll hang around on Zoom, Judge.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other defense counsel on Zoom? All right. I have, y'all need to let me know who's a defendant on Zoom. If you're a defendant waiting to be heard, I see an iPhone, I see a Brittany. If you could please start your video and identify yourselves. All right. Okay. Debbie, we're going to start calling the folks from this end and then. So the gentleman in the blue shirt, if you like stand up and walk all the way around to the podium, do not use the slide double doors. And what's your name?
Michael Burkett.
Burkett. Position number 7. Mr. Burkett, your case number is 20 CR 005-841C. You've been accused of 2 counts of simple battery F3. And who's your attorney?
I don't have one.
Have you applied with the public defender's office?
No,
Would you like to, or are you waiving your right to counsel?
I guess I would like to. I still want to do not guilty.
All right. If you'd like, where would you like to put Mr. Burkett while he's waiting to speak to Mr.
We'll put them in the back for you.
All right. So Mr. Burkett, you are present. And you want to speak to a public defender to see if you qualify?
Where the chair is.
Okay,
Am I correct?
yes.
All right, and then if you qualify, then one of the PDs will represent you.
Brown,
O'Brien?
Brown.
Brown.
Number 5,
Yes, sir.
I spoke to him this morning, he does qualify. Again, it really worked like the prosecutor took the. reputation.
Yeah. Mr. Rockoff, if you could move closer to that microphone that's right in front of you. Yeah. No, it's on.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
All right, repeat again, please.
We'd like to, I qualified him this morning. We'd like this prosecutor to put the recommendation on the record.
Ms. Riley?
And are we speaking of Paul Brown, positions 5 and 6?
Yes, Paul Brown.
Oh, I
positions
did
5
not
and
see
6.
6, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it
he's
the
got-
same victim?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, for position 5, it would be 12 months to serve 4 days. Credit for time served 4 days, the balance suspended. For position 6, 12 months to serve 4 days. Credit for time served 4 days, the balance suspended. So both cases would close today.
Okay, all right, well, let me talk to him. Now, the victim is here to support him. In case you need to talk to her.
Does he have a no further contact with the victim?
They're not together anymore and she's not afraid of him. She came here to support him.
That's not my
Yeah,
question.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Rockoff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me go ahead.
As both of them are battery family violence offenses, Your Honor, I would think there is no contact in place.
Is that Juanisha Carter?
Yes.
Are you Mr. Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Carter, I highly recommend that you leave.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, they told you I could come down here when they called.
Listen very carefully.
Okay.
January 2nd, 2021. Mr. Brown's required to have no further contact with Juanisha Carter. I don't know what you two have been doing before this day, but I can have this deputy marshal take you in for being in the same room with her. You're supposed to stay 200 yards away from her unless there's a court order that says you can have no further violent contact with her.
No, we ain't had no contacts. It just,
You're in the same room with her.
yes, ma'am.
And you're supposed to let the deputy know that you have a no further contact with the victim. And she is out. And you are supposed to be aware of that condition. You were told that in jail, and you're supposed to make sure that you stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her.
Yes, ma'am. I have, it just when they call me for
I
court
would not
and-
make any comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not putting you in jail, but I'm just letting you know you screwed up.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Rockoff is your attorney. He's going to speak to you and let you know what the recommendation is.
Yes, ma'am.
After you're done with court today, whether you decide to go to trial or whether you decide to take the plea, once you leave this courtroom, if you are within 200 yards of Ms. Carter without a court order changing that requirement, you risk being arrested, number one. Number two, being charged with a felony, aggravated stalking, which means that you go to jail and no bond for up to 3 months.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's that serious. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a seat and Mr. Rockoff will talk to you.
Your Honor, I really don't mean to interrupt, but I need to make this announcement.
Yes, sir.
Position 2, position 3, Quantres Benton.
Yeah.
I was just I messaged by a young lady, Starkeisha Laster, and Miss Riley. I think this is your case. Miss Laster is the victim in this case. So I want to let you know that she was on, and I told her to contact you. But Miss Laster has informed me that Mr. Benton may be in the DeKalb County Jail. So if y'all give me a moment, I can try to confirm that.
Okay, Please do, and then get back to me about that. Thank you.
Okay, but Miss Raleigh, I wanted to connect you with with Miss Laster.
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir. What's your name?
All right, good morning, Judge. My name is Dre Daenerys.
I'm sorry, that mask muffles it.
Okay.
Okay.
Dre Daenerys,
Spell the last name.
BZAH.
DZ. Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how to pronounce that name, but okay. Za.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Dre Daenerys Dazar. All right, that would be unusual DDD, isn't it? Okay. Is accused of simple battery domestic violence in 20 CR 004947C. And Mr. Dazar, who is your attorney?
Yeah, I qualified him this morning.
Excellent.
Okay. And we would like a reset on this. And also to know the state's recommendation.
All right. Ms. Riley, what's the state's recommendation for Mr. Dazar?
It is 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days, the balance on probation, a family violence intervention program, and to have no further violent or harassing contact with Mia Henderson.
Okay, thank you. But again, well, let me talk to him and then we'll make an announcement. Let me
All
talk
right.
to him further.
We had a failure to appear in December 22nd. No, December 10th, 2020.
I was in changing of my address, ma'am, and I had put it in.
Is it Buffington Drive?
It was Ferriton. They had put 167 Ferriton on there, and I had just currently moved in with my mom during the time, so I don't know if the mail got lost. I was telling my probate court, my probation officer, Mr. Romanoff, that as well.
Are you on probation?
No,
for the
he's
case?
not. I'm sorry, Your Honor. He keeps getting confused. Pre-trial release. He's been,
Pre-trial, okay.
okay.
Before you leave the courthouse, we need your new address,
Yes, ma'am.
phone number, cell number, and email
Yes,
in
ma'am.
writing.
Yes, ma'am.
And you can either give it to one of the ladies here, or we'll direct you to the clerk's office to do it in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe we did that, Your Honor, I think.
I have a Buffington Drive address.
Right, but we gave his new address.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
hopefully we'll get that updated.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give your phone number as well and email?
Yes, ma'am. I had I'm sorry, I'm with the new star. I had just got a new number too. I gave it to her.
Is that a good number?
It's a perfect number.
It's a perfect number. Okay. And then you're going to talk to Mr. Rockoff,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're going to understand what are the terms of the plea offer. Otherwise, I'm going to arraign your case today and schedule it for trial.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you so much, Judge.
You cannot leave until you're
Okay.
given permission to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rockoff will talk to you.
Okay.
All right, this is Mr. Stacy Adams. It is Stacy Adams.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
Yeah, it is. I remember. And have you just spoken to Mr. Rockoff?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rockoff, does he qualify? Position 2,
What's the name?
Stacy Adams.
I'm trying to turn my phone off, but it won't go off. That's the one I was gonna do for Mr. Gaither.
Yeah, that's the one you're covering for Mr. Gaither.
Yeah, I need to talk to him first, Ron, before we make an announcement.
All right. So you've got the plea offer already. It's basically. time
Right, I
served.
wrote it down. I've got it.
Okay, Mr. Adams, you've got a plea offer of time served and to close the case out. So you talk to Mr. Rockoff and see if that's and just talk to him about that option and see whether you want to move forward with that.
All right.
Thank you.
So hold down, but state your name for the judge.
Good morning, Walter Jackson,
Spell your last name, please.
JACKSON.
J-A-C. Walter Daniel Jackson.
Daniel Jackson.
Is it Daniel or Daniel?
Danielle.
Daniel, okay. And that's position 14. That would be Miss Githiea's case. And Mr. Jackson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Who's your attorney?
I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No.
All right, did you understand when I made the announcement that you have a right to an attorney? If you want to apply, see if you qualify, you can get appointed counsel. Otherwise, you can hire your own attorney or represent yourself. Did you remember me saying all that? Or did you just walk in?
I just
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. So you do have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you.
okay.
You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, you can apply for the public defender's office. If you qualify, one of our public defense attorney, including Mr. Rockoff here, can represent you.
Okay.
Otherwise, you are required to either have hired your own attorney or you can choose to represent yourself, understanding that you're responsible for understanding how the law applies to the facts of your case
Okay.
and how it may impact any other particular position, like if you have an open case or other open cases. How would you like to proceed attorney Weiss? Do you want to apply for the public defender's office? Do you want to represent yourself? Do you want to hire a private attorney? What do you want to do?
Apply for a representative office.
Repeat?
Apply for the representative office.
You want to apply to the
Yeah,
public
yeah,
defenders? Okay, we're going to give you a form. You're going to be seated back there to fill out the form. And then Mr. Rockoff is going to review it and see if you qualify.
Okay.
All right?
Come around that way. Go around that way. State your name for the judge.
Eric Johnson.
I'm sorry, sir.
And that was number Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson. Position number 16. And Mr. Johnson's case is 20 CR 005-235C. Mr. Johnson, were you present when I advised the folks of their rights?
No, ma'am.
All right. You do have a right to remain silent, but the facts of your case, any statements you make, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, you can speak with the public defender's office to see if you qualify. How would you like to proceed, attorney Weiss?
Apply for attorney.
You want to apply for a public defense attorney. Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, I was trying to see what my charges.
Your charge is simple battery, domestic violence from October 13, 2020.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Githia is the prosecutor. Ms. Githia, what is the plea of recommendation?
The offer is 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served 3 days, the balance probated, a family violence intervention program, no further violent contact with the victim, and 20 hours of community service.
And 20 hours community service. Okay. All right. Mr. Johnson will have to give you a form to apply. You need to be seated back there, fill out the form, and then Mr. Rockoff will review it and see if you qualify for their services.
Okay, my question.
Yes, sir.
What she just said, do I still need a
Repeat. Speak louder.
what she just said, will I still need an attorney?
With what she said, it's really up to you. You can use the services of an attorney, or you can waive your right to counsel if that's what you want to move, how you want to move forward.
I'd rather do what she said.
All right. So, Mr. Johnson, if you do not want to apply for the public defender's office, listen very carefully, okay?
Okay.
If you decide to waive your constitutional right to an attorney, you are responsible for understanding that any legal decision you make, that you are responsible for how it impacts your personal situation, any other open cases you may have, upon your job, upon your criminal history record, if you have one, and also upon your residency, if that's applicable.
Right.
You are responsible for your decision based on your knowledge and your understanding of the law.
Right.
If you want to still proceed, then and accept that offer, then you must do so knowingly, willingly, and voluntarily.
Right.
Which means that if you plead guilty to this charge, it will be on your criminal history record. You will have to be on probation to complete 24 weeks of classes at your expense, do 20 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, and have no violent contact. In other words, you can have contact, but no violent contact, no altercations with the victim.
I do that.
Mr. Johnson appears to want to accept the plea offer, Ms. Gutierrez. And Mr. Johnson, do you still waive your right to counsel?
Yes.
And Mr. Eric Johnson is waiving his right to counsel to move forward. So Ms. Gutierrez, if you could please draft the necessary plea documents.
And
Whom should she email the documents? We're going to put the email address in the chat.
okay. Yes, Your Honor, I'll get that done.
It basically go to Ms. Smith, Essence, okay?
Okay.
All right. And do you have the waiver of counsel document also with you?
You asking me?
Yes,
Or-
Ms. Gutierrez, do you have that?
I can get it.
Okay, could you put that as part of the packet?
Yes,
For Mr. Johnson to review?
yes.
All right. Mr. Johnson, the prosecutor, Ms. Gutierrez, is going to prepare the plea documents. It is going to be a series of questions which you have to read very carefully and answer them correctly. All right? If you have any questions about the document, you need to ask while you're filling them out.
Okay,
Right.
so,
Okay.
so I can, still be around my son's mother.
Put your mask down and ask your question
So,
louder.
so you said that it's, just no violent contact, right? Because we ain't seen each other in like 3 years.
It would be no further violent contact. You can speak to her, you can take her out for a date, you can buy her flowers, you can sit on a porch with her, but
Okay,
you can't have any physical or verbal altercations with her.
gotcha. Okay, yes, ma'am.
As long as whenever you speak with her, you bring her flowers and chocolates, you're in good stead.
Oh, that's easy.
All right, that's easy. All right.
Your Honor, as he is
my
going to proceed pro se, does Ms. Smith have a copy of the waiver of counsel form that she can present to him versus the state providing it to him?
I'm seeing her nod her head, so we're good.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson, if you have a seat, as soon as we get the documents, we'll print them up for your review.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Position 16 is going to be a plea hearing. Anyone else in the courtroom who's not been addressed?
That's everyone, Judge.
All right.
And Judge, I'd like to circle the wagon back with number 3, position 3, so Ms.
Mr.
Lassiter
Benton?
can be released.
All right. Ms. Riley, have you had a chance to speak to Ms. Lester?
I have not via. the
Oh, I'm
chat
sorry.
we
My
spoke in.
bad.
That's
Okay.
okay. Via the chat we spoke, I just told her to remain until Ms. Clemens and I could speak with her.
Okay, I have
Okay.
someone new walking into the courtroom. So what's your name, sir? Okay. All the way around to the podium?
Yeah, come on up to the podium, walk around that way.
While they're walking in, Judge, I was just going to say with Quantres Benton on position 3, I have confirmed that he is in the DeKalb County Jail. Ms. Riley, if you check the chat, what I did,
I saw it.
you saw it? Okay.
Gerald Weiss.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have a case number or a jailing number with DeKalb?
Who, me?
As a matter of fact, Judge, if you like, I can make it simple for you. I can drop this in the chat to you as well directly if that's
I
appropriate.
just want to make sure that Ms. Smith, Essence Smith has it so that we can put the notation in Odyssey.
Okay, I'll tell you what, the PDF that I sent to Ms. Rowley, I'll put it right in the chat to Ms. Essence Smith right now.
That's fine.
I have the booking number as 220-17749. And that is DeKalb County
All right.
Sheriff's Office.
So, Mr. Benton, I don't know if you've had a chance, excuse me, Mr. Gaither, I'm not sure if you have had a chance to speak to Mr. Benton.
No, I have not. He's one of the individuals. It looks like his case may have been somewhere else and came here. And so we didn't know whether he was going to appear, but somehow, yeah, we have a file for him.
Okay.
No, you could.
Looks like he's got 2 cases.
Yeah, he's in the DeKalb County Jail on a completely
he's got-
separate case.
He's got another case, a bench warrant was issued on March 8th. Yesterday, Wednesday, I guess.
Oh, well, according to the booking sheet, he's been in DeKalb County since December 22nd of 2021.
Okay, you might want to reach out to Judge Morrow and send him that
2022.
information.
Okay,
Because Judge Morrow issued a bench warrant on March 8th.
okay.
FTA. In the other case, 20 CR 005-302C. Okay, so Ms. Smith, can we combine these two cases so they move together along? All right, so or you can send it to me, Mr. Gaither, with the PDF of the of his jailing along.
Oh, sure. Okay,
With
absolutely.
a proposed order to set aside the bench warrant issued in that other case I mentioned, 20 CR 005-302C.
Will do, Judge. I will do that.
So this one is 300C, the other one is 302C. And we're going to put both of them on a calendar. In your inquiry, Mr. Gaither, do we have a guesstimate of when he may be available?
Just looking at the booking screen from the sheriff's office, looks like he's there on no, he's been there since December the 21st, 2022 on misdemeanor charges. I'm not sure. I don't see any bond information. So I don't know, to be honest with you. I would have to.
We're going to reset him to May 4th.
Okay.
At 9 a.m. May 4th, 9 a.m. show cause calendar on both cases. 20 CR 005-300C and 302C.
Okay. That should be plenty of time to figure out what's going on in DeKalb.
Yeah, certainly, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, if Ms. Clemens and Ms. Laster, who is the victim on this case, can go into a breakout room to speak.
Okay. Let me.
Morning, Judge.
Ms. Clemens, Ms. Lester. Ms. Lester, are you present? Good morning, Ms. Clemens. How are you?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lester, we're going to put you in a breakout room with the prosecutor and Ms. Riley, the prosecutor, Ms. Riley, and the victim advocate, Ms. Clemens. Just hold 1 second, Mr. Glanville. Don't send them away yet. And your name, sir?
Gerald Wallace,
W-A-T-T?
W-I-S-E.
Okay. Mr. Glanville, go ahead and put Ms. Riley, Ms. Clemens, and Ms. Lester in the breakout right now, please. Okay. Ms. Githia, we have position 25, Gerald Weiss, accused of misdemeanor stalking and reckless conduct from February 7th, 2019. Mr. Weiss, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one could be appointed to represent you if you financially qualify for the services. Who is your attorney?
I ain't got one.
What would you like to do?
I would like to hire one if I can.
You want to apply for the public defender's office?
Yes.
All right. If you will have a seat, our deputy will give you an application to fill out, and then you will speak to Mr. Ruffoff right here to see if you qualify.
Could I ask if anybody else has any apps? I've run out, and I have Spanish only apps, applications for public defender left. Anybody have them? Sometimes the court people have them.
You only have Spanish?
That's all I have left. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
can we make copies for you in the English ones?
I can handle it. It's okay. I can talk to him.
Yes. Okay.
I was curious if I had it.
Otherwise, we'll be glad to make copies for you.
That's fine. I got it. This is him. Oh,
All right. Mr.
okay.
Crail Lewis, any luck with your client?
No, Judge, the Their phone seems to have a financial restriction on it to receiving incoming calls. The other two numbers have voicemails that don't have outgoing messages that allow me to identify. I did leave a message on it, however, asking if those numbers are hers, that she give me a call in the office. Thus far, I haven't received a call. And I text the financial restricted cell phone number because sometimes I know that they can still receive messages, but I haven't gotten a response. Judge, I'm going to renew my request that the court continue it without issuing a bench warrant. I also, when looking at the booking screen in Fulton County, saw that she was released to a foreign county hold, although that was done back in 2022. So I don't know if the numbers that we've got are new additions or something from before her release to the foreign county hold. And then finally, I have an additional third request because I'm always coming up with requests, right? The court has an address for my client. I'd like to have that address so that I can send a letter to her as well.
Give me a second. I'm trying to see. I don't, the last time she was booked at the Fulton County Jail was February 18, 2020.
Okay, I was told it was 2022, but maybe I am mistaken.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just looking at her jailing information right now
Okay.
for Kelsey Royalston, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she had a bench warrant back in 2019. She was booked in on a bench warrant for DUI.
Mm-hmm.
And she got released the same day.
Okay.
She had a foreign county hold back in August of 2015. She was released after 2 days in August 19, 2015. Her last release date from jail from Fulton County is February 20th, 2020 on this case.
Perfect. Then thank you for that clarification.
All right. Now here's a last salvo, Mr. Lewis. Here's an email. Hill, HILL .Kel, KEL @yahoo.com.
Thank you.
All right. And then if Miss Marie is still writing this down, I can give you an address.
I'm writing, Judge. I got my computer on now.
All right. Latest address I have is 2035 Lois, LOIS Place, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318-3925.
Thank you.
All right, let's try the email and then I'll consider your request. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else on Zoom whom I've not addressed? I have a Brittany. I'm
Brittany.
All right, Miss Brittany, I need your video on.
Say it again for me, I'm sorry.
Your video needs to be turned on.
Can you see me?
All right, yes. And Miss Brittany, may I ask how you're related to this case, to these calendars?
I was a defendant in a case. I'm not sure if
What's your last name?
original person showed up.
What's your last name?
My last name is Sanders.
Brittany Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your case number?
I actually don't have the case number. I'm not the.
What's the person whose case you're interested in? Who's that?
It was, the original person, his name was William Royalston.
Spell the last name.
Number 18.
Okay. William C. Royalston.
We said, what was that? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
William C. Royalston.
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Royalston was given a bench warrant in April 1st, 2021. He made bond July 7th, 2022, and was required to appear in court today. We don't have any change of address. We still have the Mount Zion Road. All right, that's what we have. But Mr. Royalston has not reported to court, so I'm going to wait till the end of the calendar when I've addressed all the cases before deciding whether the state wants to move for a bench warrant.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, so a quick question. So am I not needed anymore, or will I know if a warrant has been issued or anything in this case?
Are you a defendant or a cross defendant? Do you have your own case? Are you a victim? What are we talking?
I'm a defendant, I guess, or a victim in this case.
Let me check.
Your Honor, she's a victim in the case.
Victim in the case.
A victim in the case. You're right.
Mhm.
So Ms. Sanders, you're going to see there's going to be a victim advocate, an individual from the Solicitor General's office who represents the interests of the victims in these cases. So if you'd like to wait on the Zoom, we can give you an opportunity to reach out to her and speak to her, Ms. Clemens.
Okay.
And that way you can keep up with what's going on with the case through the Victim Advocate Division.
Okay.
All right. So if you hold, she's right now busy in a breakout with another case.
Okay, so just stay here.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. So Miss Riley and Ms. Clemens.
Yes.
Is the Quantres Benton case?
Yes, we've spoken with the victim. She's free to go. We've gotten updated contact information.
All right, Ms. Lester, you're free to leave the Zoom. Thank you. Ms. Riley and Ms. Clemens, this case is reset to May 4th, 9 a.m. And we're going to reset both the cases, 20 CR 005 300C and 302C.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
I'm going to set aside the bench warrant that was issued in 302C on the grounds that Mr. Gaither has documentation to show that Mr. Benton was incarcerated at the time that he failed to appear on March 8th, 2023.
Understood. Thank you.
All right.
And I'm preparing that motion with the order, Judge, and for the record, I'll represent Mr. Benton.
I'm writing your name down, Mr. Gaither. I'm going to
Yeah, go
cross
ahead.
out
I'll
Ms.
represent it.
Giddick.
That's fine.
All right, all right. Okay, Ms. Clemens, we have Brittany Sanders on the Zoom, who is the alleged victim for for this other case. What was it?
Position 18.
18, sorry. Okay, position 18, William Royalston. Did you want to go into a breakout room with her?
Yes, ma'am, please.
May I go into that breakout room as well?
Okay, Ms. Gathia, as long as you got that plea paperwork in motion.
I sent it to Ms. Smith.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Glanville, may we place Ms. Sarita Gathia, Ms. Brittany Sanders, and Ms. Shaquille Clemens in a breakout room, please. Actually, Ms. Gathia and Ms. Clemens, you can go back to the breakout room you were in before. If you look at your Zoom screen, the 3 dots always says breakout. They'll just say join breakout room. And Ms. Brittany Sanders, you need your video on so you can speak to the prosecutor and Ms. Clemens.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I wasn't in the previous breakout room. That was Ms.
Oh, you were not? That's right. It was Ms. Riley. I do beg your pardon.
I've already added all 3 to the breakout room.
All right, Ms. Glanville is 10 steps ahead of me. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think I've addressed everyone on Zoom presently. Mr. Ralph.
Yeah, if we could return to number 7, Michael Burkett. I don't have any notes, and he said he didn't hear the recommendation. He would like to know that.
Ms. Riley, if you're present, please. Mr. Michael Burkett is, okay.
No, stay there.
What's the plea offer for Michael Burkett, position 7?
It is 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days, the balance on probation, and a family violence intervention program.
Are y'all willing to terminate probation upon completion of the classes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what that means.
I'll take it.
I'll explain it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other cases you're ready to announce on, Mr. Rocco?
I have to talk to him, but I don't have any other.
Okay, no problem.
Just kinda-
Folks, will be in recess until we take the plea hearing with position 16. I think he's filling out the paperwork, and then we will proceed with the other cases once Mr. Rockoff is ready to address them. Thank you. All right. So, Ms. Clements, have we concluded our discussion with Brittany Sanders?
Yes, ma'am. I have all
Okay.
the information that's needed from her.
All right, Ms. Sanders, if you have no further questions, you're free to go, or you can
Okay.
remain on Zoom if you want to observe what's going on.
Okay,
Thank you. Ms.
no
Githea,
problem.
I think we're ready to proceed with Eric Johnson, position number 16.
Okay, come on. Stand right here.
Okay, Your Honor, let me pull up his case.
Ma'am.
And Mr. Johnson, you can lower your mask and you need to
You want to,
respond to the questions clearly,
Right.
okay?
Okay, all right. Can you hear me like this?
Yes, even
All right.
better. Thank you.
Clear my throat.
You're tall, so your voice needs to reach that little mic right in front of you.
Okay, I got you.
All right. Ms. Githea, just give me the green light.
I'm pulling up the report.
hello? Wait, please don't call me. No, don't call me. I'm calling, okay? That Miss Rowell.
Okay, I am ready, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Githea. All right, we are addressing position number 16 on the Orca B show cause calendar. This is 20 CR 005-235C. State versus Eric Johnson, accused of 1 count of simple battery domestic violence from October 13, 2020 in Fulton County, Georgia. Mr. Johnson is appeared in court and he has waived his right to counsel according to his remarks, as well as to his completion of the form for defendant's waiver of right of counsel. Mr. Johnson's also been advised of his right to remain silent. Mr. Johnson, I've reviewed your waiver of right of counsel. You have read through the paragraph and understood the consequences of representing yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you still like to proceed and represent yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then I'll go ahead and sign the document acknowledging your waiver of right of counsel. This is going to be a plea hearing. Mr. Johnson has reviewed the plea paperwork as prepared by the prosecutor in this case, ASG Sarita Githea. And Mr. Johnson, was there anything in these documents that you did not understand?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you're ready to move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so for purposes of this plea hearing, may I place you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Githea, for purposes of the hearing, what is the plea recommendation?
The recommendation is 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served 3 days, balance probated, a family violence intervention program, no further violent contact with the victim, Cambree, CAMBREE, Fambro, FAMBRO, and 20 hours of community service.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, these are the terms which were communicated to you before we began this hearing. And so far as I can tell, none of it has changed.
Right.
In order for me to move forward with this plea hearing, I need you to understand that in order for me to accept your guilty plea, it must be done freely, willingly, and voluntarily. And that you must stipulate or agree that the venue of the offense was in Fulton County, that the identity of the perpetrator is you,
Yes.
and that the factual allegations supporting this case are all true and correct.
Ma'am.
Do you so agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood everything that's been going on so far with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've chosen to represent yourself. Have you read through the plea documents?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you understood the questions regarding your waiver of rights and the consequences of taking this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you have no right to appeal from this decision if I accept your plea and sentence you accordingly.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So just to reiterate, if you decide to enter this plea, you will give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury, to be able to get the assistance of counsel, to challenge the state's evidence, present any defenses you may have if you choose to do so, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the prosecution try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery domestic violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 3 days, credit for time served 3 days, so you have no additional jail time.
Yes, ma'am.
You will be placed on probation. You will report to probation next Thursday. All right, and that date will be March 16th.
Okay, this misdemeanor probation or
This is misdemeanor probation,
the pretrial services?
not through pretrial services. This is through the judicial JCS.
Okay, so y'all give me the address and stuff to that, right?
The address is 132 Mitchell Street, downtown Atlanta.
Okay,
We'll give you a chance to write it down.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You will report to probation next Thursday, March 16th, before 3 p.m.
Okay,
The probation officer will be assigned to you and your case will be prepared,
okay.
right?
Yes,
While
ma'am.
you're on probation, you will complete a domestic violence intervention program. This is a series of 24 weekly classes, and you must pay for those classes yourself.
Okay,
You will begin those classes within 60 days from today.
okay,
So by your second probation visit, you must confirm with your probation officer that you have enrolled in a domestic violence program.
okay,
All right? I'm giving you 2 months to find a program that suits your needs,
okay,
but you must also make sure the program is acceptable to your probation officer.
okay.
All right?
I have one more question. One more question. So after the classes in community service, I'll be off that probation, right?
Correct.
Okay,
In addition to completing the 6-month domestic violence program, you would also have to do 20 hours of voluntary community service. You
okay.
can do this at any nonprofit agency,
All
all right?
Yeah.
But at the completion, the supervisor must give you a letter with the company's letterhead on it
Saying
and
complete.
signed off saying that you have done at least 20 hours of voluntary community service and
Okay,
present that to your community
probation.
probation officer, right?
Okay.
Ms. Githia, any objection to termination of probation upon completion of conditions?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Your Honor?
Any objection to termination of probation if he completes all the conditions?
No objection.
All right. You are to have no violent contact with Cambry,
Remember.
Fambro, yes.
Okay.
Like I said, no physical and no verbal altercation.
Flowers, chocolates, and.
I don't understand what you're saying. Chocolate and flowers, yes,
Chocolate,
sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Am I free to go?
And no, not yet.
Oh, okay.
You'll report to probation, you'll pay probation fees, and once you're done with the conditions, your probation terminates.
Okay.
Do you have the address?
Got everything right here.
All right. Do you want a copy of the disposition?
Yeah, just so I can get one to my mama, keep one.
Do you want a copy of the disposition?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you need to wait and Ms. Smith will make a copy and give it to you.
All right,
Now you're free to go, but have a seat if you want the copies.
okay.
Thank you, Ms. Githia. All right, let me see. I think this
You're welcome, Your Honor.
got signed off all the documents.
And Ms. Smith did provide the waiver of counsel form, correct?
Yes, it's here. Everything is good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
We all can send you a form if you want to make it part of your package, like a PDF kind of thingy.
As the state, it can't really, it should come from the clerk.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Mr. Crail Lewis, let's go back to Royalston.
Unfortunately, no positive success to report.
Final reset.
Yes, ma'am.
Notations on the calendar. Ms. Royalston failed to appear in court on March 10th, 2023. Failed to respond to counsel's attempt to contact her. Reset to April 6th, 9 a.m. show cause whether a bench warrant shall issue. And the bond will be $2,000 on each count. So that will be an $8,000 surety bond. No driving. That will be the requirements for the bench warrant. And I will hold off on that decision until April 6th at 9 a.m. If she doesn't appear at the call of the calendar, I'm not waiting.
I understand, and I have no objection to that whatsoever.
All right.
I was gonna ask you something. Is this a virtual calendar for me to appear?
You can appear virtually, but she must appear in person.
That's fine, Judge. I have a leave that day, but it's not filed in your court, so I'm going to appear virtually because I can do that.
All right.
Okay.
Counsel may appear via Zoom, notwithstanding any leave of absence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. You have a great Friday and a weekend. Stay dry.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Essence, did we get all those conditions down? I've written it down in case you want me to. All right, the only other cases I've got left are the ones in the courtroom, and I'll wait as Mr. Rockoff is ready to proceed.
Your Honor, I have not heard from Ms. Riley, but on number 7, number 5, and number 9, I think we can work out a plea in that case. The only difference in the recommendation.
You'll have to go to the microphone.
Oh.
They're not going to hear you.
I'm sorry. I think that we can enter pleas in number 5, number 7, and number 9. I think the only thing different in the recommendation is all 3 defendants are requesting a nullo plea, and it looks like they're all eligible.
Okay.
Other than that,
Position 5, Paul Brown, he's in the courtroom, right?
yes.
Okay. And he's requesting he's got positions 5 and 6.
Yes, I'm sorry. I always forget about his 2, but he's requesting a nullo.
Okay, so he's requesting, he's got 2 counts of battery, domestic violence, and simple battery, domestic violence. So you're gonna have to sort that one out. Ms. Riley, what's the state's position?
The state would object to NOLOs for battery family violence, please.
Does he have any prior battery DV convictions?
Not convictions. He does have a prior arrest for battery family violence.
Date of arrest?
It was in 2014.
Okay. All right, this would have to be a non-negotiated plea, and I cannot accept a NOLO to both cases. So y'all have to talk about that. So that's a possible plea, Ms. Riley, if you want to put that in your list right now.
Okay.
Position 7, we have a possible plea for Michael Burkett. Mr. Michael Burkett is here, yes? Okay, and he's got 2 counts of simple battery, domestic violence. And Mr. Ruffoff, you said your client wants to plead NOLO?
Right.
Okay, so the state's position?
The state would not object to simple battery. It would just be for a battery family violence since there are other consequences.
Okay, so the state is open to a NOLO plea for Mr. Burkett?
On 1 count of simple battery, correct?
Yes, it's just 1 count. The other would merge.
Okay, we've got a deal on that one then.
Okay. And the next position is Mr. Dazar. And your client wants to plead NOLO to simple battery domestic violence from October 2019. Is that correct, Mr. Ruffa?
I'm sorry. I get too many cases. What was the case we just handled?
Michael Burkett.
Burkett, all right. Okay, all right. So now we're on to Mr.
Dazar.
Dom. Yes, he would like to plead, but he would like to do a NOLO plea.
And what's Ms. Riley, your position on that?
The state would not object to a NOLO plea.
Okay, we have a plea on him then.
All right. So the only issue is position 5 and 6. So Ms. Riley, if you could prepare the plea paperwork for position 7 and position 9.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ruffa, if you'd like to confer with Mr. Brown on his 2 cases. The state is not open to a NOLO plea as part of this recommendation due to his prior arrest for battery DV.
And Your Honor, number, well, we're at number 14. Mr.
Walter Jackson.
Jackson, yes. He wishes the jury trial.
All right.
That's a young man that's outside. ain't it?
No. Okay, Walter Jackson's here. Okay, and what about position 25, Mr. Weiss?
I'm getting ready to give him the, hold on.
Mr. Wise, can you come up?
He's coming.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay.
Did Mr. Jackson hear the plea offer?
Yes.
Okay.
No?
No, we never heard of you. Thank you.
Walter Jackson? I thought, no, the plea offer hasn't been communicated to him, so unless Mr. Rothoff, you spoke to him about it already?
No.
All right, so what is the plea offer, Ms. Githea, for Walter Jackson?
It is 12 months to serve 8 days, credit for time served 8 days, a family violence intervention program, balance probated, and no further violent contact with the victim, Betty Jackson.
All right. 14.
Somebody, he says that's not his case.
Walter Jackson?
Walter Daniel Jackson. Are you Walter Daniel Jackson?
We got 2 Jacksons on the calendar.
I have Antonio Gerald Jackson, and I have Walter Daniel Jackson.
Daniel is him.
Are you addressing position 14, Ms. Githea?
Yes, Your Honor.
12 months to serve 8 days, credit for time served 8 days, domestic violence intervention program, no further violent contact with Betty Jackson. Is that not your case, Mr. Walter?
No, he said that the victim's name that was read is not the victim.
All right, let me check.
Let me just double check.
Walter Daniel Jackson, the accusation filed on November 20th, 2020. The alleged victim is Betty Jackson, who is the parent of the accused.
Yes, that's my mother.
So that's the victim in the case.
Okay.
Are you Betty?
No.
So is that your case, Mr. Walter Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that's the plea, and Mr. Rockoff, if you want to confer with him about this possible plea before I arraign the case.
He would like to accept the plea, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Githea, Mr. Walter Jackson has amended his request from a demand for a jury trial to accepting the plea offer from the state. So if you could please prepare the plea paperwork for position number 14.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And He will be represented by Mr. Rocco.
And on number 5, Stacy Adams, did I make an announcement on him?
You were going to confer with him. The state is not accepting a nolo plea on positions 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Okay. No, I'm sorry.
Stacy Adams is position 2.
2. Position 2.
Stacy Adams, there was an offer, it was time served.
Yeah, he wants to accept the plea.
All right,
That's
Ms.
all.
Riley, that would be a plea on Stacy Adams. So if you could prepare the paperwork for Mr. Adams as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Before we go back to Mr. Brown, Mr. Rocco, do you have a announcement for Gerald Weiss, position 25?
No, I have not. You're Mr. Wise, right? Yeah. I have not talked to him. I'm getting ready to.
Excellent. We'll just hold on that. Okay. And so, Ms. Riley, you have key paperwork for positions 2, 7, and 9. Mr. Rockoff is going to confer with Mr. Brown in 5 and 6, and Mr. Weiss on position 25.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. And Ms. Githia, yours will be position 14 with Mr. Jackson. Right, we'll be in recess until the plea paperwork's ready. Thank you. I'm talking to a screen. Ms. Githia, I'm so sorry, I was on mute just now, but could I have the plea offer for position 25? Gerald Weiss, please.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, it is 12 months probation, a family violence intervention program, 40 hours of community service, and no violent or harassing contact with the victim, Brittany Cook.
Mr. Weiss asked me if this was a family violence case. It's not charged as family violence, but the state's requiring a family violence program.
Yeah, well, I guess it should have been, they share a child together.
All right, but he's not charged with an offense under the domestic violence statute.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
But as part of the recommendation, the state is requiring him to do the classes that are classified under domestic violence.
That can be changed to 12 weeks of anger management, Your Honor.
So instead of 24 weeks under the domestic violence, the state's willing to reduce that to 12 weeks of anger management classes?
Correct.
And this would not be designated under family violence, correct?
Right, he's not being, correct, he's not being charged under the family violence.
All right, Mr. Weiss, I've clarified it. Do you have another question?
Yeah, 40 hours. I work like 70 hours out of the week. I gotta stay alone. Got my own
You have 12
house.
months you have 12 months to complete 40 hours of.
Community service. Community service, right?
Yes. You'll be on probation for, 12 months.
No time frame on the
You
days I
have
gotta
12
do it.
months to complete 40 hours of voluntary community service and 12 months to complete 12 classes of 12 anger management classes once a week.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it.
You don't think you can do it?
I work overnight. So I don't know, because and then I'm in the process of,
Just one second, Mr. Weiss.
I'm in the process of getting my child legitimized, and I gotta take a 4-hour class. Not supposed to do that last month.
Okay, if you're not willing to accept the offer, then I can schedule this case for trial and we can go to trial. You can either demand a trial in front of a jury or a trial in front of a judge. I think depending on whether the state will agree to a bench trial.
I'll do a trial.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Roca.
Suggest, he talked to me, he'd rather pay a fine.
Yeah, because I got it on bail as well.
Makes a lot of money.
It's not a question of just paying a fine and getting it over and done with. You don't get to dictate the sentence. Now, if you want to do a non-negotiated plea, that means the prosecutor will put down the recommendation and the prosecutor will tell the court what is the factual basis upon which they are seeking this particular sentence. In other words, they're going to tell me all the allegations that support the charges and why they believe their sentence recommendation is appropriate. Then you will testify under oath as to why you believe your recommendation is more appropriate and what is the basis for that recommendation.
Makes sense.
I will look at your argument. I will look at the state's argument. I will look at the circumstances of the case and your criminal history record to make a decision as to whether I will accept your recommendation or the state's recommendation. I will let you know my decision, and then you can decide whether you want to move forward with the plea or whether you want to have a trial. Would you like to consider the state's offer? Would you like to consider a non-negotiated plea, or would you still like to move forward with the trial?
I'll move forward to trial.
Okay. So, Mr. Gerald Weiss, I'm going to arraign your case, which means that upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will then be scheduled for trial. A case management order will issue, which we can send you a copy. And in that will be the scheduling order on what needs to be done by what deadline in order to be prepared for trial. Since you do not qualify for the public defender's office, it will be incumbent upon you to hire your own attorney and be prepared for trial. When your case is called for trial, You must make sure that you have your attorney and that that counsel is moving forward and prepared to represent you at trial. Any further delays will not be considered unless it's an extraordinary circumstance.
Makes sense.
All right.
So I just gotta hire my own attorney as well.
Yeah,
Got it.
or you can choose to represent yourself if you're comfortable with that.
Got it.
So, do you want me to read the accusation, or do you waive a reading of the accusations?
Oh, you can read them.
Okay. So this is State of Georgia versus Gerald Weiss. Mr. Weiss is in the courtroom representing himself. And the accusation number is 20 CR 003-962C. Mr. Weiss has been advised of his right to remain silent and his right to counsel. At the present time, Mr. Weiss does not have counsel. He does not qualify for the services of the Public Defender's Office. And he will consider the option of retaining counsel when the case is called for trial. Keeping in mind that upon the issuance of a case management order, you and your attorney must be prepared for trial when the case is called. You are accused of 2 misdemeanor offenses. The first offense is stalking, a misdemeanor offense in which the Solicitor General for Fulton County, Keith Gamage, does charge and accuse Gerald Weiss with the offense of stalking, a misdemeanor for that said accused in Fulton County, Georgia, on or about February 7, 2019, did follow Brittany Cook for the purpose of harassing or intimidating such person in violation of Georgia law 16-5-19. The second accusation involves a misdemeanor offense of reckless conduct, so accused and charged by the Solicitor General for Fulton County, in that the accused in Fulton County, Georgia, on February 7, 2019, did endanger the bodily safety of Sergeant Davis with EPPD by consciously disregarding a substantial and unjustifiable risk that his act or omission would cause harm or danger to the safety of such victim. And such disregard constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of care which a reasonable person would exercise in violation of Georgia law 16-5-60B. These are the 2 misdemeanor offenses brought against you. Upon your entry of a not guilty plea to these charges, the case will be scheduled for a jury trial. You're required to make sure that your address and your contact information are current with the court at all times, and you will be sent notice of the trial. Yes, sir.
About the address, I'm in the process of moving as well today.
Wherever you move, you are required to come back to this courthouse, go to the clerk's office and submit your change of address, your current contact information like email and phone numbers with the court at all times.
It's a lot. All right, I got it.
Okay. As I was saying, you are legally presumed innocent of these charges. And at the time of the trial, the prosecutor has the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the state carries a burden of proof and overcomes your legal presumption of innocence, you could be convicted of 1 or more of these charges and sentenced to up to $1,000 fine and or 12 months of prison for each of the convicted offense. If you're convicted of both offenses, the sentences could be served together concurrently or separately, consecutively. So which means you have the potential of facing up to 2 years in prison time and or up to a $2,000 fine in total. Given this information, how do you plead?
I'll take the $2,000 fine. Said a fine? I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Guilty. Say I plead.
You are changing your plea from not guilty to guilty?
I mean, no, not guilty. Sorry.
Repeat.
Not guilty.
Not guilty?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
I just got out of work 5 o'clock this morning.
And Your Honor, the state withdraws its offer, and if the defendant decides to plead prior to trial, it would be a non-negotiated plea.
Did you understand that, Mr. Weiss?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, case management order has been issued. The case is scheduled for the notice for a jury trial. And Mr. Weiss, you've been already advised that you need to make sure your contact information is current at all times. Failure to appear in court will result in a bench warrant.
That's not, put it on here, the correct information.
Your Honor, I see that he applied for the PD's office. Did he not qualify or did he decide not to proceed with the PD's office?
Did not qualify. That's why he is open to the option of just paying a $2,000 fine and moving on from this case. So if the state wants to consider his counter offer, that's entirely up to y'all.
No, the state will not be accepting that offer.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Rockoff, any announcements?
I think that covers it for me.
So
Four pleas, I believe. Number 4, number 5, number 9, and number 7. I believe that's correct.
all right, and I still need an announcement on Mr. Paul Brown, position 5 and 6.
Mr. Brown. You're Brown.
All right, while we're waiting for the plea paperwork to be prepared in these cases, I'm just going to go over the calendar. Mr. Gaither, if you want to take note for yourself and Mr. Rockoff, that would help.
Yes, absolutely, Judge.
Position 1, Shaquille Adams is reset to April 6, 9 a.m. for a final plea pursuant to defense counsel's notice of conflict. Position 2, Stacy Adams will be a plea. Position 3, Quantres Benton is represented by Mr. Gaither, and that case is reset to May 4th, 9 a.m. Show cause. And this will be not only the 300C case, but the 302C case as well. And Mr. Gaither will send me the proposed order to set aside the bench warrant in 302C.
As a matter of fact, Judge, I just filed it and sent a Miss Essen Smith. I dropped the copy of it in the chat as a PDF for you.
All right. Position 4, Marte Brooks. Marte Brooks has not, it is now 10:43 a.m. The calendar was called at 9 a.m. and folks were given ample time to show up in court or via Zoom. Final call for Marte Brooks.
State will request a bench warrant.
Granted, a bench warrant shall issue, bond shall be set at $1,500. It's a surety bond. Position 5 and 6, Mr. Rockoff is still conferring.
Yeah, he wants a jury trial.
He wants a jury trial. Okay,
Yeah.
I will arraign and notify him accordingly.
Your Honor, the state would be withdrawing their offer, and we would also put on the record that it was communicated to us that Miss Juanisha Carter drove Mr. Brown to the courthouse. So they would be he would be in violation of the no contact order.
All right.
So,
All right, Mr. Brown, you need to remain in place. The state is asking me to have you arrested for violation of the no contact order. So please remain. I'll send it to you. Position number 7, Mr. Michael Burkett is going to be a plea. Position 8, Amy Lee Burns. All right, if you get disruptive, we're going to have to take you in. Position 8, last call for Amy Lee Burns. No response.
State will request a bench warrant.
Bench warrant shall issue for Miss Amy Lee Burns. The bond is going to be set at $2,500 for battery causing substantial physical harm. This is a surety bond. Position 9, Mr. Dazar, this is going to be a NOLO plea. Position 10, 11, 12, and 13. This is the final call for these individuals. Alicia Elizabeth Frazier.
State will request a bench warrant.
A bench warrant shall issue $1,000 surety bond. Camilla Fuller.
State will request a bench warrant bond forfeiture.
This is going to be $2,000 on the battery and $1,000 on simple battery, a bench warrant to issue, $3,000 total surety bond. Daryl Huckabee,
Bench warrant bond forfeiture, Your Honor.
going to be a $1,500 surety bond. Antonio Gerald Jackson.
Your Honor, the state will note that there was not a previous failure to appear in Division C with Judge Dixon, but we still would be asking for a bench warrant. It was arraigned December 10th of 2020 and was not put on a calendar until it was sent to our division.
So is this the first time on the Orca calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll reset this to April 6th. And this will be on the show cause calendar at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
And Mr. Jackson has to appear in person, not Zoom. Position 14, Walter Jackson is going to be a plea. Position 15, Deshaun Johnson. Ms. Githia.
The state requests a bench warrant, Your Honor, bond forfeiture.
Bench warrant to issue. Bond shall be set at $1,500, is $750 on each count of theft by shoplifting. It's a surety bond. Position 16, Eric Johnson was a plea that has been concluded. Position 17, Frank Johnson.
The state requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
On the improper left turn is 500. On the DUI is 2,000. Total bond is set at 2,500. It is a surety bond for the bench warrant. Position 18, William Royalston.
State requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
The bench warrant, bond set at $2,500. It is a surety bond. Position 19, Kelsey Royalston is reset to April 6th on a final plea calendar. This is, well, with the information that she must appear in person. This is a show cause for her failure to respond to the court and to not responding to her attorney's attempts to reach her. Position 20, Eduardo Santos Vega.
State requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
Bond set at $1,000 surety bond, 500 on each count. Position 21, Willie Taylor. W-I-L-L-I-E Taylor.
State requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
All right, just give me a moment. He's got a companion case, 20 CR 005 775C.
That's position 22, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. So it's a bench warrant for position 21 and 22. On position 21, the bond is set at 2,000. It is a surety bond. On position 22 is one count of battery and one count of simple battery. The bond is set at 2,500. That's a surety bond. 2,000 on the battery, 500 on simple battery. Position 23, Alvin Tolles.
State requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
And this is his second failure to appear. On the obstruction is 500. The simple battery against an officer is 1,000. It's a bench warrant with a $1,500 surety bond. Frederico Antoine Williams, position 24. Frederico Antoine Williams.
State requests a bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
On the theft by deception is 500. The theft by taking is 1,000. Total bond is set at 1,500. It is a surety bond. And position 25, Gerald Weiss has been arraigned. Case management order has issued. And it's further notice for a jury trial. Presently, Mr. Weiss is self-represented. All right, I think that concludes at least the file calendar. We are waiting on plea paperwork, not plea paperwork, the positions 2, 7, 9, and 14. All right, Mr. Raffoff, are we ready to address positions 5 and 6? Mr. Paul Brown.
Yeah, I believe he wants to accept the plea.
He's to your left, sir. He's there, it's right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
They move all over the
Yes.
place with the mask on, so sorry about that.
He wants to accept the plea.
All right. Ms. Riley, if you could prepare the plea paperwork for Mr. Paul Brown.
Yes, Your Honor.
Folks, those of you who decided to accept the plea offer from the prosecutor, we will try to get the plea paperwork to you as soon as possible for you to review, sign, read and sign and initial the correct answers to the questions in that document. All right? Whenever you're ready, we will proceed with a plea hearing, just as you've observed me do in these other cases. Okay? Thank you.
Judge, did you want Mr. Brown to just have a seat to his?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna get, since you're accepting the plea, I'm not going to consider the bench warrant request.
And I apologize for my telephone. I turned my phone back on so I could get a call from Miss Riley. That call never came, but everybody else in the world did call me today, so sorry.
Check your spam folder or whether you blocked a number, okay?
Oh, I apologize. I wasn't aware that I was supposed to call Mr. Raffoff for any
Do
of
you
it.
have his number, dear?
I do have his number, but I'm not sure. What case am I calling you on, Mr. Raffoff?
I don't need it. We've taken care of it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just trying to blame you for
I
all the
see.
calls I got this morning. That's all.
Okay.
You'll accept that blame, right? Okay.
I take that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Okay, we'll be in recess until we address any of the pleas that are ready to go forward. Thank you.
And just for the record, I know Ms. Smith has a lot going on. I did send the plea paperwork for Walter Jackson.
All right. Yes, he's reviewing it. Thank you.
Okay.
With regards to Mr. Walter Daniel Jackson, I believe position 14. Ms. Githia?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any objection to a nolo contendere plea?
No objection.
Did we stand up for that one?
I have the
Okay.
paperwork and
Right,
it's circled nolo contendere.
Okay. Okay.
All right. All right, Mr. Walter Daniel Jackson, case number 20 CR 005-687C. Mr. Jackson's case, Ms. Jackson is present with counsel, public defense attorney, Mr. Michael Burkett. Case number 20 CR 005-687C. Mr. Jackson was accused of simple battery domestic violence from July 31st, 2019, allegedly in Fulton County, Georgia. Mr. Jackson, you have appeared in person, you've conferred with your attorney, and you've decided to move forward with this plea hearing based upon the recommendation of both the prosecuting counsel as well as your defense counsel. You've been advised of your right to remain silent and your right to counsel. May I place you under oath? Right hand up, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Swear, yes.
Thank you. All right, you just need to speak a little louder because of that microphone, okay?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Ms. Githia, just for the record, what is the plea recommendation?
The state's offer is 12 months to serve 8 days, credit for time served 8 days, a family violence intervention program. I'm sorry, balance is probated, and no further violent contact with the victim, Betty Jackson.
All right. Is there any objection to terminating probation upon completion of the classes and the conditions?
No objection.
All right. Mr. Ruffoff, does your client agree to the terms and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, he agrees to the terms and we stipulate to the actual basis.
Venue and ID, correct? Venue and ID as well? Do you stipulate to venue and ID?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear venue. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Jackson, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood everything that's been going on so far in your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And has anybody forced you or induced you to take a plea today?
No.
And are you doing so freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes.
So you've read the documents, you've gone over the questions with your attorney, and you understand that if I accept your plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial before a judge or a jury, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's case, and have the state, the prosecutor, carry its burden of proof to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery domestic violence?
No.
I'll accept your plea of nolo contendere. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 8 days, credit for time served 8 days. Your jail time is concluded. You don't have additional jail time. You will report to probation next Thursday, March 9th, 2023, before 3 p.m. Do you follow me, sir?
Yes.
At your probation office, you'll be placed on probation to complete a 24-week program, what we call the Family Violence Intervention Program, okay? You must attend those classes and pay for them yourself, and you must begin those classes within 60 days from today.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
You are to have no violent contact with Betty Jackson. In other words, you can communicate with her, you can be in the same room with her, but you cannot have any violent contact, no physical altercations, no verbal arguments. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about your sentence?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes this hearing. You'll need to fill out some paperwork for probation and then you're free to go.
Okay.
Make sure you write down the address and the date you have to report.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Ruffov, I don't know if you're still conferring with the other attorneys. Ma'am, if you want to use your phone, you have to step outside. But are you ready to move forward with Stacy Adams and?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Adams. And then next on deck will be Mr. Desar.
Yes.
Mr. Desar, if you want to come around and be seated in that gallery on the row behind, thank you. After that, it will be Mr. Michael Burkett. All right, do I have a seat next to Mr. Desar? All right. This, Ms. Riley, Ms. Gipia, I believe that concludes your cases.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I can stay on just in case Ms. Riley needs assistance with anything.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Riley, we are addressing position number 2, case number 20 CR 0000447C, State versus Stacy with an I, Adams. Mr. Adams was accused of simple battery and criminal trespass. If this plea hearing moves forward to its conclusion, the criminal trespass charge will be null pros. In other words, the state will dismiss that charge or not pursue it, and we will just move forward with a simple battery charge. Mr. Adams has been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. Michael Ruffov. Mr. Adams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and we are going to place you under oath for purposes of this plea. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and when you're addressing the court, don't put your hands in the pockets.
Okay.
Just put your hands down. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ms. Riley, what is the plea recommendation for Mr. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor, it is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 60 days, balance suspended. The case would close today. Will close today, excuse me.
All right. Mr. Ruffov, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, to all questions.
All right, and the state had no objection to a nolo contendere plea, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Adams, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you, inducing you to take this plea?
No,
today?
ma'am.
If you decide to plead nolo contendere to this one charge, simple battery, you will not have an opportunity to go back to court, to have a trial, to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, present any defenses you may have, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 60 days, balance suspended. Your obligations for this case are now over. You're free to go.
All right.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, if we could perfect the record, I believe Mr. Adams responded guilty. I thought it was a no. plea.
I heard nolo contendere, but then again, my mind is
No,
just steaming ahead.
Okay.
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
Mr. Adams, did you intend to plead nolo contendere?
Yes.
Yes, a good thing the prosecutor caught that, because I heard nolo contendere in my head. Okay, I'm going to accept your plea of nolo contendere. That's what the record's going to reflect, and you are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is Mr. Desar. This is position number 9. Mr. Desar is also pleading no contest, nolo contendere to one count of simple battery domestic violence according to the plea negotiations. Yes, sir.
I believe that should be no violent contact. They have a child together, and they don't have contact because the mother drops the child at his mother's house. But
I've got no further violent contact with
Oh,
Mia
sorry.
Henderson. Would that be
Okay.
correct?
that's correct.
And probation to terminate upon completion.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Dre middle initial D, Dazar. This is case 20 CR 004947C, in which you've been accused of simple battery domestic violence. Mr. Dazar, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and you are represented by Mr. Michael Burkett. For purposes of this plea, may I place you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Riley?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's offer in this case is 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days, the balance to be served on probation, complete and attend a family violence intervention program, and have no further violent or harassing contact with Mia Henderson.
Mr. Ruffoff, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, we stipulate to the factual basis and he accepts the terms of the recommendation.
Mr. Dazar, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea?
Absolutely not.
If you decide to accept this plea, you would have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, have counsel to help you to challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to simple battery, domestic violence?
No.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days. You have no additional jail time. You'll be placed on probation, so you report to probation next Thursday, March 9th, before 3 p.m. Yes, sir?
Today is the 10th, so next Thursday would be, I'm saying today is,
Yeah, you're correct. March 16.
okay, I'm sorry.
Did I say March 9th?
Yes, ma'am.
March 16.
Yes, ma'am.
It's March 16th at before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
While you're on probation, you are to complete a 24-week family violence intervention program. The classes are once a week and they're to be paid out of your own pocket. You're to begin those classes within 60 days from today.
Yes, ma'am.
You're to have no violent contact with Mia Henderson, and if you complete the classes, your probation will terminate.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, that concludes this plea hearing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Burkett? Does he need to complete probation paperwork? Mr. Dazar? Mr. Dazar, you need to complete a probation form.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to give it to you. You fill it out. It goes to your probation officer. So
You want me to sit right here, ma'am?
Deputy, should he stay there or in the gallery?
Where you want me to sit, Deputy?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, please, I'll take care of it.
Ms. Riley, we are proceeding with State versus Mr. Michael Burkett, position number 7.
Yes, Your Honor.
Michael Burkett is accused of 2 counts of simple battery domestic violence in 20 CR 005-841C. Mr. Burkett has been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. Michael Ruffoff. Mr. Burkett, if this plea hearing is completed, then the state is going to, we're going to merge the second count of simple battery, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
So this will be pleading no contest to 1 count of simple battery domestic violence.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Burkett, for purposes of the plea, may I place you on the oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Sorry, Ms. Riley, could you please articulate the recommended sentence?
Yes, Your Honor. It's 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days, the balance on probation, complete a family violence intervention program, have no further violent or harassing contact with Tatiana Pitts, and probation to terminate upon completion of condition.
Right. Mr. Alford, does your client accept these terms and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
Yes, we stipulate to the factual basis and venue, and yes, those are the terms.
Mr. Burkett, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood everything that's going on?
Yes,
Are you satisfied with your assistance of counsel?
yes,
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
no,
You've gone over the paperwork with counsel. You do understand that you would have to give up your right to a trial, to go back to court and confront your accuser, examine witnesses, have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to do that?
yes,
How do you plead to one count of simple battery domestic violence?
no, low,
Your second count will merge. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 2 days, credit for time served 2 days. You don't have additional jail time. The rest of the time will be served on probation. You report to probation next Thursday, March 16th at before 3 p.m. You will enroll and complete 24 weeks of domestic violence classes at your expense. Make sure that you begin those classes within 60 days from today. Once you, and you're to have no violent contact with Tatiana Pitts. You
Yes.
can be in the same room, you can talk to her, but no altercations.
yes,
Once you complete the domestic violence classes, your probation can terminate.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, do I need anything else? I done.
You have the address for probation?
Is it 132 Mitchell Street?
Yeah.
I know it.
Do you want a copy of your disposition?
Yeah, I'll take it.
We can have a seat and we'll get free.
All right, Ms. Riley, that leaves us with
Mr. Brown, positions 5 and 6.
as soon as I receive the paperwork, we can proceed.
I did send that to Ms. Smith and Mr. Raffa. Okay,
They're reviewing it. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Glanville, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm back.
Thank you. All right, we are addressing positions 5 and 6. State versus Paul, middle initial D, Brown. Position 5 is 21 CR 00008C, in which Mr. Brown is accused of 1 count of battery domestic violence from November 21st, 2019 in Fulton County, Georgia. Position 6 is 21 CR 00010C, in which he's accused of 1 count of battery domestic violence and simple battery domestic violence from October 2nd, 2020. Let me just verify that. We may have a typo on the calendar.
And Your Honor, that is also how it appears on the jail screen. When I check to see incarceration, it shows 3 different dates, but only 2 case numbers.
Provoked or something.
Are y'all going to null cross the simple battery?
I believe the way it is accused, Your Honor, and I'll double check, is that it would merge into the battery family violence on the 2nd case number ending in 10.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Ruffo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The simple battery count will merge so the only charge that which he'll be pleading guilty to is the battery family violence of October 2nd, 2020 in case ending in 10C. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Paul Brown, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Mike Roffoff. And may I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right.
Your Honor, just before we get started, let me say that Mr. Brown is upset. He wants assurances that his bond is not going to be revoked. That's what he's upset about, not about the plea.
If he is pleading guilty to both of these cases, he will be placed on probation to complete the terms of his sentence. And once he completely satisfies all his conditions, his probation will be non-reporting.
Yeah, but again,
Your Honor, may I perfect the record? There is no probation for either
Oh,
one.
I'm so sorry. That this was a balance suspended, right?
right, but
Oh.
the issue, I'm sorry. Once he pleads guilty, the bond issue is moot. That's
Correct.
Yeah,
The
okay.
cases are closed. There is no
You're good.
bond.
Oh, I beg your
Okay.
pardon. Yeah.
okay. All right.
So let me rephrase. Once these cases are closed by a guilty plea, there is no bond issue. There's nothing to revoke. There is no probation, there's no bond, nothing. Once I sign off on these documents and they are filed, you can go ahead and have contact with I'm sorry, what was her name?
Miss Carter.
Miss Carter.
I have fiance, so we can't be contacted.
Well, that's up to you.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is that you have no further obligations once I sign off on these documents.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. So getting back to the case, may I place you, have I placed you under oath? Not yet. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Riley, is this a global offer for both cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
It is 12 months to serve 4 days. Credit for time served 4 days. The balance is suspended. Both cases closed today. And to perfect the record, Your Honor, because Mr. Brown is pleading, although it is 2 different cases with the same victim to battery family violence, because he is entering both pleas at the same time, it does not invoke the transfer as a felony.
Okay. And Mr. Brown, your attorney should have, I'm sure he has done so, is that once you plead guilty to these charges, because you're doing it at the same time, there are no felony charges from this. But because this is going to go on your criminal history record, any subsequent arrest, bite our tongue, it'll never happen. But if it does, in some remote situation, that subsequent arrest will automatically be a felony charge. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Ruffoff, does your client agree to the terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, the client does stipulate to the terms and stipulates to the facts and venue.
All right. Mr. Brown, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
Oh, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer today?
No, ma'am.
And has it been explained to you, and as you've read through the documents, that if you decide to plead guilty to battery, domestic violence in both these cases, that you have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury, to be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, have an attorney help you to challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses, and have the state try to prove all these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you still moving forward freely, willingly, and voluntarily?
Yes.
How do you plead? To one count of battery,
Yes.
domestic violence in case ending 21 CR 000008C?
Guilty.
How do you plead to one count of battery, domestic violence in case 21 CR 000010C?
Guilty.
Your sentence is, for both cases, is concurrent, and it's going to be 12 months to serve 4 days, credit for time served 4 days, balance suspended. Both the cases are closed. Thank you, sir. You're free to go.
Thank you. God bless.
You too,
You
sir.
got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Copy of your disposition.
Okay.
You have a seat.
Have a seat. Okay.
Position 6. All right, folks, with this last plea hearing, this concludes our calendar. Thank you very much. You all have a great weekend.
You too,
You
Judge.
too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.